Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And this first story, I think, has an absolute direct correlation with on-demand liquidity, which uses the digital asset XRP. It falls directly into that new or original strategy that Ashish Birla told us about on June 8th. And it is Currencycloud is going to process cross-border payments on Ripplenet. This partnership will focus on SMEs. Hooking up with Ripple is going to give Currencycloud access to new parts of the world. And if we look at that announcement that came from Ashish Birla on the 8th, let's just remind ourselves that it was all about reducing the emphasis on large treasury payments. And they were going to support individual low-value transactions, addressing the growing needs and remittances for the SME payments. I think that when this announcement was made, I am pretty darn sure they knew what was happening with Currencycloud. I think Currencycloud is going to be the solution that we will eventually, and maybe even sooner than later, start to see some increase in the ODL volume again. We already have seen a little bit over the last few days. I haven't talked about it because I really wanted to see more of a consistent trend. But in my opinion, I think this Currencycloud is going to do just that, support these individual low value transactions and really targeting the SMEs. And what I found kind of fun to see is that a year ago in June, I did one of my best deep dives on this partner. It was titled Ripple Partners You Might Not Know About. And I did a big deep dive on connecting Ripple to Currencycloud and Visa too as well. But it's really nice to see that we have something official, because on a lot of these deep dives, which most of them have turned into official announcements, people think that you're just speculating. And yeah, maybe, okay, maybe those deep dives are on occasion speculation, but I think if you pay attention to my deep dives, I stick pretty much to the facts. And I'm going to stick to the facts today, too, when I have a Swift story I want to talk about, because already I got a little pushback on Twitter that it's just speculation. But okay, hang in there with me. So AMB Crypto, they wrote today that Ripplenet gets a new client, but where is the Great British Pound? So for the pound, sterling, and the USD corridor, where is it? Well, let me show you something kind of interesting. I received an email today from Bitstamp. And Bitstamp, I do have an account there. I have various accounts. That's kind of a recommendation to everyone, by the way, if you're new in this space and didn't experience the 2017 bull run, because at that time, I only had one account, and it was on Poloniex. And luckily, I didn't have a problem. But when things really do go into a full bull run, a lot of these exchanges can't handle the volume. And so I would suggest that if you are thinking about doing an exit at a certain price point that you have in mind, have different exchanges that you can onboard your currency to, so that you can definitely exit at the price you want to get out at, because this is an issue in this in this space. So anyway, I have this Bitstamp account, and they say that they have successfully migrated me to a different business entity. And they have been migrating the accounts of their US-based customers from Bitstamp Limited, which is their UK entity, to Bitstamp USA, our business entity based in the United States. So I didn't do anything. They told me that the migration doesn't affect any of the service, and just continue to use it as I have been using it. But it makes me think, because Bitstamp is an ODL partner, maybe this is the start of a new development of a new corridor, possibly. I'm not sure. So moving along, let me take you to a Zoom call that occurred in the last 24 hours. And this is the CEO and regional head of SWIFT for India and South Asia. He was being interviewed. I'm going to play 3 different clips for you. The first one is where he's explaining in a very short and concise manner the difference between Swift and Ripple. I think most of us know the difference, but to hear it from someone in the Swift camp, it's interesting. And then secondly, there is the challenge going forward that people have that use Swift, and that's using those multiple intermediaries in the correspondent banking model. It just doesn't go from one bank to another. It has to go through multiple hops. That creates time, that creates problems, that creates more cost, and he addresses that it does create a problem. But they are going to make some changes with GPI that will improve that a bit. And then the third clip is about the strategy of the future, and that strategy coming with the ISO 20022. You're going to be, I think, surprised, although I gave away a little bit of the of that clip in the thumbnail card for this video, but it's kind of exciting. All right, so let's go here. We're going to first hear this explanation of the difference between Swift and Ripple.
We're wondering what's the difference. So let's look at another difference. What's the difference between Swift and Ripple?
So, Ripple is based on a DLT technology, distributed ledger technology, and we are a messaging channel company. We are owned by the banking community, and our agenda is driven by the bankers in what we have to achieve. Their agenda is driven by their goals, and that's the underlying difference. So I'll say 2 differences underlying the fact that we are a cooperative owned by the banking community. They are a company that's a startup. The second is the technology. They are based on DLT, and we are a messaging channel.
Okay, so really quick and simple. Now let's go to the next clip where he is talking about the challenge. And the discussion that precedes this answer is talking about the cost, because the World Bank says that the average cost of a remittance right now for cross borders is 7.45%, and the UN wants to get that down to 3%. That's a big change when you think about how high 7.45% is when you look at the amount of money that's moving around the world. Competition is pushing this down, but still there's a ways to go. And so here we can listen to the challenges in these multiple intermediaries.
So when you look at a cross-border business, right, there are few challenges, and I think those are the ones that will help us accelerate the growth. So I will not put these challenges as something that is limiting the growth, but I think we need to continuously have dialogue around how these could be refined, solved for better and better and better. So number one is the fact that in any international transaction, there are multiple intermediaries. So let me take an example, right? So for example, if you have an online channel that is wanting to do remittances, it has partner bank on one side, it has partner bank on the other side, and there is a fee that they need to pay there, there's a fee that they need to pay here. So that's one part of the challenge, right?
So that's one part of the challenge, is this multiple entities that sit between these banks. And this is what the Ripplenet technology eliminates. And now we're really going to get down to the question of the fundamental changes for ISO 20022 and how the future is going to be shaped up, because this is a mandate that they have from their banks. They want them to be more efficient. And I know that we have heard that they are going to open up to some other solutions, some third-party fintechs, but this gets very specific as to how that might look. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, listen carefully. And I think, yeah, I've got the, I know sometimes the Indian accent's a little difficult for some people in the West. I've got the caption on, and I'll recap in case you miss it. So here we go.
Strategy, Harish, is that we are bringing in new technology and making it technology agnostic. So we are allowing it to be accessed by API, ISO 20022 standards, or in the future with any other currency, virtual or anything else, or DLT as well. So that's the direction that we've announced. We are not necessarily competing with anybody. It is actually reimagining the cross-border and bringing in efficiencies in that system. And that could be applied to payments and everything else. So that's where we are going.
So if you caught that, they're bringing new technologies in, making the technology agnostic. What he means by that is they don't care. They're not caring if it's Hyperledger, if it's the Interledger protocol by Ripple. They're agnostic. They don't care. And so it's going to be whatever serves their banks the best. And so when you say, oh, you're just speculating, it's not going to be Ripple. Well, I think if you're agnostic, it could be one of many solutions. And I think the banks will ultimately have the choice for whatever transfer that they are going to need to do. It'll be their choice as to which one of those services they're going to choose. And also, it's going to be through an API, and it will allow for, if you didn't catch this, I'll say, it'll allow for other currency, virtual or anything else, and even DLT. So this is the new direction for them. I think it's really fantastic. I think that Ripple always is wanting to work with everybody, and they want to be the solution that is on a level playing field, meaning that the competition is there for the freedom of choice to get the job done based on who can do it the best. Yeah. So I think this is a really, really wonderful narrative that's coming out of the SWIFT camp. All right, let's just really jump to the something that's coming out of the Bank of Japan. It's accelerating their digitization of the yen, and they're preparing for conducting a demonstration test. They're doing this to be ready. This country is very much a preparedness mentality in terms of country, because I think that, well, for lots of reasons, but maybe you can point to a lot of the natural disasters that occur here. We are always under great push from the government to always be prepared. So they're going to do this to be ready, and they cite that they just don't want to fall behind. And for the functionality, they have some requirements. They want to be sure that the payment method in this new system that they're going to test, that anybody can securely use it, even children and even elderly people. So it's not going to be through a smartphone, because children can't use smartphones and the elderly sometimes don't have access to a smartphone economically. And it also has to have the necessity to work even if the communication and power cannot be secured. So that would be in the case of an emergency situation such as an earthquake. I'm really curious to see how they are going to solve this. And one last story with Mr. Kitao. He is on fire, the CEO of SBI. Yeah, he's just on a roll. And he announced that there is going to be a blockchain traceability platform. This announcement came on July 2nd, and he'll first kick it off with rice, and it'll be a supply chain that is shipping to the United States, Canada, Hong Kong, and Singapore. It's definitely stepping into that VeChain arena. Very interesting. We knew he was interested in this supply chain business from the presentation that he gave 3 months ago, but it looks like now it really is official and it's moving forward. Okay, everybody, let's jump to a little fluff. I had someone ask me yesterday, what are the beaches like in Japan? And that is just a big question, because if you look at the geographic areas of Japan, it really is from the snowy, snowy north to the tropical south and everything in between. So what I'm going to do is just take you on a quick visual tour, starting in Hokkaido, where the beaches are mostly rough and rocky, but extremely beautiful. It reminds me of the Washington coastal areas in the United States. And then if you come down just a little further, about 2 hours south of Tokyo, you start to see white sand, and the beaches are looking more like California. Here in Tokyo, if you go to the beach, it's still it's very volcanic. So we don't have that fine white sand. It's like very coarse, tiny black pebbles. So it's beautiful, but it's not something that you take your shoes off and it feels good on the toes. In fact, it hurts to walk barefoot, for me at least, on the beach here that's close to Tokyo. This is an area called Shimoda, and it's near Shizuoka. And I'm showing you a house that is really famous to rent among the foreign expats here in Tokyo. It sleeps up to 8 different people, and it's called the Aquaholic House. You can see it right there. It books about 2 months in advance, but it is one of those rentals that the expat community loves to go to. I'll show you the inside again. It's just really a great place. And when you pool 8 people together, the cost isn't that bad. And then if you go down even further in Japan and go to Kyushu, this is when it starts to get very beautiful. I personally like Kyushu a lot, and there is just, the reason why is because there are just so many beaches that you can choose from that you feel like you have your own private beach. There are just not a lot of crowds, and the water is really, really gorgeous. But the most beautiful in the country of Japan are these islands in Okinawa. I think that would be undisputable. There are no less than 113 islands down there, but maybe only 5 are ones that you would choose because they have populations, and then you have some services, and they are really focused on the what's called omotenashi, which is the hospitality for tourism. And it is just, really unbelievably beautiful. Not only are the white sand beaches beautiful, but the water is just beyond the colors that you think could exist. Yeah, I'm most impressed with the color that comes from the ocean. And so when you do go there and you get a little bored of just hanging out on the beach, you might think about going to, I just want to show you, this is Ishigaki. I have not been to this island yet. This is an island I want to go to, but here is an example of what you might choose to stay in. And boy, yeah, I want to wake up to this every morning. And what I was going to say, if you get a little bit bored on Naha, which is the largest island where 90% of the population is, you can really experience karate, this is the birthplace of karate. There are some 400 different dojos in Okinawa, and there are places that specialize in giving 2-day, 3-day, 5-day retreats where you can stay the night and train. And they do it with grandmasters that are 10th Dan, and you can be in this warm climate all year round, so it makes for a perfect remote island getaway. And when you partake in these, you'll do karate training. You'll also do some kobudo. You'll also take some history tours by bus. There's sleeping accommodations. You do Zen meditation. There's beach barbecues. There's lectures. There's performances. There's also the option on some of them to do kyudo, which is archery. And then at the end, you get a certification. And some of I think the 5-day even has some excursion of sightseeing. So this is really popular for people who visit Okinawa and want to do something more than just hang out on the beach and have an experience with these masters, these black belt masters. Pretty cool stuff. All right, everybody. Yes, do take care. Sayonara for now.